Welcome everybody. Righty. Another Tuesday, another webinar. So I'm just pulling up the presentation now. Cool. I'm pulling up, as always, question and answer form. So feel free to pull that up. You should be able to find places to ask your questions via the menu item. So I have that up. If you guys go ahead and pull that up on your side as well. And one last thing I'm going to pull up here is my little control panel for sending out messages. So let me pull up this. Boom. We have a lot of people still joining in here, some stragglers after the 10 o'clock time marker on the West Coast here. Let's see. And as people are still joining, as we get ready here, again, as usual, um, all right. So today there seems to be this reoccurring theme. Um, oh, more people joining. Hey, Joseph, Dennis, Eric. Eric, I see you here every week. Um, Reach out to me sometime. I'd love to chat. Manny, Mike, other Mike. How's it going, guys? So, yeah, I basically came up with the idea for this week's webinar. I've been having multiple meetings with multiple general contractors, prime contractors, or even vendors, subcontractors, and it's just like a reoccurring theme. I know that AI can do these things. I'm seeing all this stuff on social media. If you are, I see these people building these things saying, I have AI employees, I have OpenCloud doing this, I have Claude doing that. And it's just a matter of, how do we do this stuff? And how do we roll out AI adoption across things? I focused on prime contractors today for the lesson, kind of, and just so I could talk to it. But as usual, anything that I talk about today can be applied to any organization. I just like to focus in on one, and then you could take those ideas and run with them. Okay. Same thing when I do very specific like contract administrator lessons, and I'm just saying like this is how a contract administrator would use it. This is just to spark ideas, and this is to give you that roadmap that you can then tweak, adjust, apply however you need. So. Today we're going to get into that. I've been having a lot of meetings where a lot of companies have basically been using our demo booking link on contractsconnected.com, and then they meet and they're like, "Hey Zach, like how do I roll this out? How do I do this? How do I get better systems in my business to have something like invoices get processed, right?" And this is all kind of flexible, but the key thing is like a foundational piece. Just like building a building, you need a strong foundation to build a structure on top of it. And that's really how you need to think about the AI adoption within an organization. I don't know if anybody here did. If you did, I would love to know, and you can put it in the question and answer section. In the marketing materials for today's webinar, I basically said, ask your team what percent of their day is being helped with AI versus what percent of their day are they still doing manually. And I put that in the marketing materials because every time somebody meets with me and uses our booking link to get on my calendar, and then we want to talk about AI and how it can incorporate into your day-to-day operations, I have them go ask their team that question. And it is always a little bit of an eye opener. Even if somebody's not, at leadership level, you could still survey a couple of your coworkers and stuff and just kind of ask them. And it's very easy for people to respond because you're just asking out of 100%, what percent of your day is AI doing versus not? And I guess like 6 months ago, I asked the same thing to the Contracts Connected team. And this is the same, I think, what no matter what business you're in, you might be using it a lot, or you might be using it a little, but there's this assumption that your team is leveraging it the same way you are, or your team can leverage it the same way you are. And you might be shocked to find, like I was 6 months ago, that I was like, oh, our whole team is AI forward. We are all using AI every single day, and this is all helping us the way it's helping me because I'm a power user, as you might be able to tell. And I had a couple of our youngest team members say that they were only like AI was only doing 30% of their workday. And I, and then our older team members, our more senior team members, they were saying that it was doing like 80 to 90. So it was almost exactly opposite of what I thought. I thought the younger guys, they were going to be leveraging AI to the fullest extent, and that the older guys, the more senior guys, they weren't going to be using it much. And that's just like an assumption that I made. And to my surprise, it was exactly opposite. And I don't know if it's because, the younger, more inexperienced people, they feel like they need to do more things by hand, or they don't feel like they have the permissions to really be leveraging AI to the fullest extent. And we really dove into, okay, what's that foundation that everybody needs to be at that 80, 90% level, and just be operating like madmen, right? So we got to work and we basically came up with structures, um, like company documentation, company processes that run in the background, automations that run in the background for low-hanging fruit type tasks. And now our whole team is at that 80 to 90% level, but it took some really purposeful foundational like building and investing in a foundation. And now we're really doing upkeep on that foundation and picking out more systems for us. And things are changing so fast that the way that foundations can be built and the way that these habits can be built in an organization, they're flexible for any of these, innovations that come from OpenAI or Anthropic, for example, where you can kind of not be worried about, oh, all of this work and investment that we're doing into this process is going to be for nothing in 6 months. It's not the case. Um, but the key part would be to start now, start earlier rather than later. So, well, we got a lot of people now in here. So I think we had like 270 people register for today. So it should be a good one. So that's a little bit of the backstory. My personal experience leading our team at Contracts Connected. My co-founder also has a construction company called Dawes Group, and we're leading his team through that foundation too. So now we're kind of incorporating into a couple of other companies and their foundations and how to set up this AI stuff inside construction operations. So this is going to be kind of those lessons pulled out, and things that we kind of teach from a foundational standpoint before getting into the, all right, how do we just remove the processing of this paperwork? How do we just remove the need to have to dive into all of these documents to, respond to an R5, for example, or something like that. So here we go. This today's session is safe and scalable AI adoption for prime contractors. And remember, everything I'm saying here can be pulled. And these are the same foundations that I used at our Contracts Connected company. So this can really be flexed. I'm just going to talk in the prime language, since that's the majority of the people that join these sessions. And if you guys did ask any of your team members prior to this, you can put it in the QA, kind of what you saw. I was also going to launch a poll here, and say, how much of your guys' day is currently being, how much of your guys' day are you using AI for currently? So let me see this. How much of your day is being ran by AI currently. And then we have, so this is going to be a poll that I'm going to launch. And then we have, right. So you guys are going to see this come up. And this is just for, I'm going to share with you guys all of the results. So you guys are going to know kind of what other people are going to answer here. All right. So you guys should be able to give answers. And I'm going to dive into the first slide while you guys are answering that here. All right. So let's get on with it. So I first wanted to bring in some statistics. This is referenced from a few different studies that I pulled in. Basically, there's optimism around AI in the construction industry. We're all talking about it. We go to these conferences. Every single speaking engagement says the word AI. You know, they're seeing all these AI startups come up. You're seeing Procore acquire AI tools, Trimble acquire AI tools, Autodesk acquire AI tools. What does it mean? Where are we going? What's the actual adoption and what's the noise here? So I pulled in here 87% of contractors expect AI to transform construction. So I think there's an overwhelming consensus that we know it's here to stay. We know it can help us. But maybe we just don't know how yet, or we're not sure that it's really there yet from a technology standpoint. 19% have adopted workflows for actual AI use. So this is, you know, probably that one person doing that one thing on their computer, and they just do it because that's just their department and it's not really something they need to share with everybody else, but they're using AI, right? 45% of organizations report exactly no AI adoption. I think that this number is probably a lot lower. I think this 45% might be surveyed from leadership, and then the leadership might even know, you know, what's going on and the way people are using ChatGPT to respond to emails or requests or so on. And then the craziest statistic is only 1% have scaled AI across all projects. So this is the 1%, and this is kind of what I wrote in the marketing materials for this webinar because this foundation should be able to be scaled across all departments and all positions, and therefore all projects. And if you build out the foundation correctly and you can leverage this across your organization correctly, the way that we're working with some construction companies on this, you will be part of the 1%. Like this is the time to get ahead. This is the time to adopt. This is the time where the technology is finally there, where it's smart enough. But this is also a time where it's what we call early adopters. And this is not consumerized yet. It's not like so plug and play as you might be able to tell. It's not like a beautiful interface and OpenAI and Anthropic has come out with so much extra features that it just makes construction so easy to be able to leverage these things. So this is going to kind of get you guys to be thinking about or at least be walking away with a way to get into that top 1%. And hopefully we change that 1% to 2% by the end of the year with the people that came to this webinar. So I'm going to tell you guys the poll results here. You might be interested to know. So how much AI are you using daily? We have 0 to 10% is 23% of the audience, 10 to 30%, 15% of the audience, 30 to 60%, 31% of the audience, 60 to 80%, 23% of the audience, and only 8% are in that 80 to 100% range. So pretty interesting. It is pretty split across the board. The biggest cohort is the 30 to 60% audience. So even at 30 to 60%, I would say you're pretty much always having an AI window open and you're doing something with it. The 60 to 100% group, I would assume you guys have some sort of knowledge base, MD documents. You have some sort of like structure, some repeatable processes, stuff like that. So I'm going to leave this poll open just in case more people start answering. But those results, even in your own organization, you should be curious about that stuff. Because if you have one employee that's like, oh, I'm at 90%, and you're like, no wonder they're a rock star, right? You can actually dive into how they're using it in your real organization and then scale that across other people. So more than anything, it's just a way for you to basically pull out the superstars or the technology forward team members and then help them shape how this will roll out to the rest of your organization. So talked about these. All right. So I talked about, why it matters now. There's a few things going on. I see a transition, especially from my work with Contracts Connected and prime contractors. There's this influx of young talent that is just trained on there's a software for that. There's a workflow for that. There's an automation for that. They think in terms of softwares and automations, right? And there's also this kind of exodus of the contract administrator that has been laboring over Word documents and Excel trackers and an Outlook inbox for the past 15 to 20 years. And they're just ninjas when it comes to this stuff, but they are like leaving the organizations, and then these organizations are going and recruiting that younger, A player talent. And that A player talent does not fit into those old processes. So that's where we've seen some companies come to us and say, hey, we're trying to get these young kids out of college. We want some really motivated young individuals that are innovative. But then they get into the organization and it just doesn't mesh, and they need more automations, more systems. They expect that. They expect to be doing work that's, fulfilling and that feels like they're making a difference and stuff. So construction is facing a labor and skill pressure around this. Project data volumes have doubled, yet much is inconsistent. And what I mean by that is, yes, more things are digital more than ever, but it seems to be the trend that because more things are digital, we just have more paperwork flying around than ever before. And so your amount of data from all of your softwares, the amount of data from, the amount of emails now being exchanged, and now with AI writing things, like AI is writing so much extra stuff and doing so much research that the data volumes are actually doubling. Yet, some of the systems to manage this data, connect this data, get the two systems to talk to each other, or have a single source of truth around your data has not caught up with the amount of data that's come out. So AI is one way that you can help with that, kind of cutting through the noise or at least filtering through it. Um, AI offers augmentation but requires disciplined deployment. So that's a bit what we're going to be getting into today. It's great. It's very powerful, but like I said 6 months ago, we had to say, oh, well, everybody's not using it the way I thought they were. What do we need to do? We need to come up with our actual rollout plan and how we will use this and what data we want plugged into this system and how people will be leveraging it across the different departments. AI is an operating model, risk and workforce capability conversation. So this is going to be a couple of slides later. AI is not like the end all be all. It is the enhancer still. But even when it comes to this, we've built out a fully AI agentic contract administrator for a couple of prime contractors. And even with that contract administrator, having her own inbox, her own logins to different softwares, and being able to actually execute fully on these different things. At the end of the day, um, all of that AI agent is doing is just enhancing the team. It's enhancing the team to say, hey, go do the stuff that makes us money. Hey, go build that building, go manage that project. and I'm going to take care of all of the paperwork that happens in the background. That's kind of that necessary evil. So it's still enhancing, even if it's taking over some of the roles and responsibilities. All right, so this is a few examples that we've gone through with a few of the construction companies that we're rolling out some of these AI systems with. Specification search for rapid information retrieval, submittal log generation to streamline administrative tasks, RFI draft support to accelerate communication, meeting note summarization for quick review, estimating support against specs and scope packages. Now, one of these kind of low-hanging fruit ones, and probably the one that I've been seeing make the most difference within organizations is, yeah, we love when something can draft the RFI response. Yeah, we love when we can kind of start building out our database around estimating and previous trades on previous projects to generate estimates more accurately in the future and quicker. But one of the easiest and low-hanging fruit options here is the meeting note stuff. And meeting notes seem so surface level, but meeting notes are just being used in online meetings right now. And they're being stored in somebody's account that they might go reference or they might go pull up at some point if they need to. But there's so many meetings happening across organizations, especially in the field. And if you have a meeting note system that grabs the meetings that are happening in the field and you have this SOP around it where the meetings are being recorded in the field, they're uploaded into your AI cloud, and now the entire team is fully able to grasp, pull summaries, ask questions, get reports on what's actually happening in the field, and it's bridging that gap that I've seen between the field teams and the office, where now every meeting gets all of the most important information, the problems, the delays, the rework, whatever it is, it's all going to get put into one database that now everybody's running their daily sync up with their AI agent first thing in the morning, and they get fully brought up to speed on everything that's relevant to them in their position. And I think that these like AI meeting recorders that join all these meetings, it's great. But to fully leverage this and bridge that gap, there's so much knowledge just being talked or discussed over phone calls. And if you guys can grab that knowledge and then put it into this brain that's going to be ever evolving for your organizations, that it's not something that people talk about on social media. You're not going to see it on LinkedIn and stuff. But for construction, I had one company in particular start implementing this, and they're like, "Whoa! Like we know things that we know everything now. We don't have to go ask. We don't have to call people. We don't have to have like investigations into things. Like it's just something we can ask the brain and it will bring up the exact meeting with the exact timestamp and give me the exact reference for why this might be happening, why this is delayed, what vendors were on site, so on. So it's pretty cool. And it's just another innovative way to start creating this AI foundation and start inputting more data into your guys' AI foundation so it can produce more value for your team members. All right, so this is basically a little case study that I found online yesterday. Basically, they took their innovation committee and they transformed it into a AI committee, focusing on centralizing fragmented data and training end users. They achieved 75% savings, self-reported, in submittal log creation and standardized AI-assisted document querying for estimating. So these might be two, like I wanted to pull this specific case study in because I hear all the time about estimating. There's some estimating softwares out there, but everybody estimates a little bit differently. Everybody has so much, what we call tribal knowledge in their head on good estimating practices and how you work with your vendors and your market and so on. And as far as submittal log creation, it's just another thing, it's just another thing that's repetitive and it's kind of a big talking point as far as how can we leverage AI. So this is cool because they basically take both of these items have to do with their company, how they operate, what they do in their market for their projects with their types of owners, the projects they focus on building. And all of this can be achieved because they have so much data from previous jobs. And even if you don't have a ton of previous work, you can pull in data for any type of document that you guys are creating and transmitting or any type of process that you're doing and put it into like an MD format, which is called Markdown, which is just text that AI can read very efficiently. And then you can create a system that can pull from that information and consistently give you really great answers. And if it ever gets something wrong and your estimator is working with this new estimating tool that you operated with, which I'm sure they went through a good amount of, massaging and back and forth, but the massaging and back and forth doesn't need to feel like this crazy research and development project. All it needs to feel like is, hey, estimator, we pulled in all your data. We've pulled in all the estimates you've made. It has all the different divisions broken out efficiently. This is how you can basically put in information that it's going to want. Here's a little sheet you can fill out, or here's a thing that's going to ask you a couple questions. Give it some answers. And if it ever gets anything wrong, all you have to do is say, update your brain to never make this mistake again when you correct it. And it will go update those MD documents in the correct places, whether that's, different kind of line items on how it pulled in different rates around estimating, or whether it's just like core instructions. Like, oh, you need to start here and approach this differently because think you got to the wrong number by doing this. It's not rocket science. You don't need to be an engineer to start improving these models. You can hand this off, and then you hand this off and you teach your team the foundational skills of being able to say, just literally type update your memory to now do this instead, or update your memory so you don't make this mistake again, or update your memory so the output that you give me is always formatted this way. Your employees, once you get the original data in there and you get original structure in there and you just get it to the point where they can start using it, they're going to be empowered now to customize this to the way that they need to use it. The key thing is getting the foundation and the data and everything kind of wrapped up in one place so they can work on it. So this is a real example from a real company that really took this seriously, and what's possible, I guess. And this isn't just limited to these two types of departments. This could be for anything. So second wave uses support judgment heavy work requiring explicit human sign off. So this is basically the next level or the next tier up from just, information generation or document generation. Um, AI is what we call non-deterministic by nature, which means that it doesn't like, or it's not really supposed to be able to make decisions, right? But we're starting to see a change here. The AI agent that we had built to run all of the contract and compliance paperwork for Dawes Group, it has to make decisions. So we had to program in a way for it to say, based on this, I need to decide to go, write this email Lars, follow up, or at least tell him that this COI has been rejected for the fourth time, and this sub is just not listening to the feedback that I'm giving around this COI. So this is where we want human sign off on certain actions. Um, do not automate workflows where incorrect outputs could create contractual, safety, financial, or personnel consequences. So again, I'm just going to continue using the Dawes Group agent that we built because it's literally working as we speak and acting as a contract administrator. So for instance, contract administrators have a lot of responsibility. They write the contract, they put the PO in, they're responsible for the inclusions getting pasted in the right spot, the exclusions getting pasted in the right spot, the dollar amount being right on the contract. So how do we make sure that that contract administrator can do all of that work, but it doesn't send this contract out without the proper, sign off from the president, the CEO, the project manager, whoever it is? And what we have is we have different user interfaces inside contracts connected that this AI agent just logs in and sends it for approval. This AI agent is physically not like there, it's incapable of clicking a button that would send that contract without the approval. So if you are going to be having it do things like accounting and contracts and paperwork, which is probably the easiest lift to automate, but is also, the hardest in terms of, hey, this is going to potentially produce risk for us. These are different things that you guys are going to want to take into account and be able to build into your AI agents kind of workflows. Final contract language, payment approval, safety critical instructions require firm human review. Yep. All right. So let's talk about how we govern these different AI systems. So there's different frameworks here. There's this basically NIST risk management framework, ISO 42001. This is an AI management system standard. So your company can adopt any of these, and you can basically have AI go in here and read them. We follow as many as we possibly can in ours. I don't want to get into this too much, but if your company is really, tight on, hey, we're really scared of it, you can kind of ease people's minds. And I've seen this help with adoption in some organizations where the team really wants to use AI more. But the leadership just isn't there from like an adoption standpoint. You can introduce a couple of these safety standards. I just wanted to put them here for you guys to have, to be able to reference, to be able to use if you so needed. All right, so let's talk about the controls. Approved tools for only approved data classes. So these tools are also known as connectors. So you can actually control at an organization level. Hey, you guys are able to connect your Claude, for instance, to Outlook, to SharePoint, to this, to that, but don't connect it to Sage. Don't connect it to our accounting tool. So whatever you guys want, this can be controlled at a prime contractor level for their entire organization. Human validation for consequential AI outputs. This is something that you just need to think about as you guys sit down, as you talk about what document processes, what workflows you want to do. You need to almost write out a step-by-step thing that you're going to want the AI to execute on, and then circle the ones that you're going to want to have human in the loop on. Circle the ones that are going to produce risk for you. All right, pilot before scale, starting with small teams and narrow workflows. So I had a GC come to me last week and basically tell me, "Hey, I want to." I'm just gonna see if they're here. They usually come to these webinars. I don't see her name, but she said, "I want to automate the entire accounting process." Everything from the email coming in to the PDF getting downloaded it to it approving the PDF invoice to it then logging it into our accounting software and then executing on this and sending the payment once I approve it. I was like, okay, that's like she just listed out all the steps. I was like, that's probably like 15, 20 steps with edge cases, with if this, then this. And I was like, if you try to just go down that road first time, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to spin your wheels. You're going to hate the system. You're going to get basically frustrated, say, this is too hard. This isn't for me. I'm too busy. I got to go do other things. And it's fair to think that. But one way to avoid that, and you can tell this amongst your teams. So if you do survey your team, and you want to get more kind of adoption, have people start out with smaller problems. So I said, okay, break this down. What's the first three steps that is just drudgery? That's just downloading and saving and updating file names and sending it somewhere else. Connecting this data, right? What is that just human work that's just in an effort to connect data into the right place? Start with the first three steps, repeat and get that really robust and bulletproof, and then scale it to a couple more steps and a couple more steps. I see so many people have these big ambitious goals. Oh, I know an agent could do this whole process front to back. It makes sense. I got enough data in my company. I know the exact process it needs to do. But that is awesome. But essentially, if this is your first time building out any type of agentic workflow, you're gonna get it's frustrating if you go too big too soon. So start with a little piece, say these are the first three steps. This would save me headache. I hate having to do this. It's just like, okay, Now I got this PDF in my email inbox. I got to go do this and I got to do this and I do this every week. So that is what I would say in terms of like what a pilot would be. Narrow workflows will be your friend. And before you know it, within a matter of couple weeks, you'll be scaling those workflows up to be a full position or something like that. Central permissioned data wherever possible for scalability. This was a big hurdle for Dawes Group when we were rolling out the agentic AI kind of framework for Dawes Group. He's got people, in Tennessee. We got people in San Diego. We got people like Lars has a computer at home. Lars has a computer at the office. They're both desktops. How do you get this stuff permissioned and available across your organization and across different machines? That's going to be what that drives this. The PM or a superintendent that's on site, that's having that meeting, that's recording that meeting note. How does that get over? And a lot of this comes from connectors, but also a shared file system. And this shared file system, I've seen a couple of construction teams have trouble with Google Drive, where the files weren't syncing correctly. But Notion, it seems to be the easiest one. And if you want to get more advanced, we had Dawes Group roll out Obsidian. But Notion is a really user-friendly version and what I would recommend people to get started with. So centralized data is important. A lot of you guys already have a centralized database for all of your files across your organization. You can use the exact same folders. They're just folders with text documents at the end of the day. So if you have a shared file system already, you can leverage that file system to be that AI brain and that foundation of knowledge and information for teams to build workflows on top of. Documented testing and ongoing monitoring of these AI systems. So I do encourage all of you to go ask your teams or even a couple of coworkers, your percent, right? You guys all answered your percents here, but you guys are on like a forward-leaning like AI webinar. So you guys are probably going to be in the top percents of your organizations. Ask a couple people, and then basically try to roll out a couple of systems or at least one or two workflows, and then allow them to see what's possible and ask them again. Ask them again, because it'll surprise you. So basically, the training should be role-based, continuous, and integrated with change management. Key AI skills include data literacy, digital collaboration, AI-driven decision making, and cybersecurity. And then AI should enhance people and professional judgment, not replace it. So let me dive into each one of these really quickly here. I need to start moving a little faster because I got more slides for you guys. But this training should not be the same for the contract administrator as it is for the project manager. You guys can talk about the way that this is connecting into that like main database of MD documents and stuff like that, where things were uploaded and how to say, hey, if you want to update the memory document, how do we do that? How do we improve that? How do we improve the way that it works for us, or how do we teach it more about our organization as we work? That stuff can be universal, but that's pretty much it as far as the universal. Everything, if you guys even take on the position in the organization of being that kind of AI innovator, or if you have an innovation team and you're going to change them to the AI innovation team, all of that stuff just needs to be very role-based from what I have experienced. With Lars's organization, we have very different trainings for the controller compared to the project managers. That we want them both using this main database and this main MD source documents, but they're asking very different questions in very different ways, and they need very different outputs. So we have created trainings for them independently for the different workflows that they do. So this isn't to say there's going to be one AI training across the entire organization that's going to get everybody to this 60 to 80% adoption in terms of how much of their day is truly leveraging AI. But if you guys take this role-based approach, I think that you can get there. These AI skills, if you guys, and we all know them, have people in the organization that are just they 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 don't even have a smartphone, right? They don't want to do computers. They don't like computers. They hate computers. That's fine. I think we're in a period of early adopters still. I think that data literacy, like just knowing, hey, this is where files are saved, this is how our files are being referenced, just knowing that in the background can help you work with the AI a little bit at a higher level. Digital collaboration, using these shared file management systems, these are just basic skills that I think teams are already basically requiring in a lot of ways. And these are going to help with your decision making and also help your team from not getting in trouble from a cybersecurity standpoint, especially if you guys work on federal jobs. And lastly, this is all about professional judgment at the end of the day. Construction is a world of people, and it's a world of people's knowledge over the course of many years. So this is a place where it's going to help, not replace it, right? You're not going to replace your estimator, but you're going to give your estimator a tool that is leveraging all of the different paperwork that he's made over the past 15 years working for the organization, right? And then he can continue to improve that. So when you get that young guy fresh out of college, he's going to be able to estimate at a closer level than he would without that. Okay, so let's talk about this role-based thing. Clearly defining approved use cases for each role. So this can be something done at the company leadership level, or if you guys have like an AI committee, basically saying, okay, we're okay with AI writing these types of documents or doing this type of work. A lot of this stuff is the Wild West inside of organizations right now. People are using it, people want to use it, people want to adopt it more, people want to encourage experimentation, but experimentation around what? And I just want to say in here that, as you guys do these different rollouts for the different roles, clearly define what's allowed, what's not allowed. Establish what the prohibited use cases are to mitigate any risks around, dollar amounts or commitments that you guys owe based off, subcontracts or purchase orders, stuff like that, if it's in that AI contract administrator space. Provide prompt examples or standard operating procedures. So you guys already should have a lot of this stuff for your organization. All of these SOPs should already be in your Markdown files as part of like the memory from this thing and uploaded into this shared folder system. But there's also prompt examples and like, what is this thing even capable of? Because a lot of times people hand over a Claude account and say, go knock yourself out. But until you're thinking about it, like, what could this possibly do? And if an organization can purposefully sit down, think about where the leverage points are in the business for busy work and paperwork and literally write them down. A lot of this is just coming down to planning. When Lars and I are talking to a few of these organizations, we're rolling out these kind of like AI foundations with them. It's just, okay, what have you guys done so far? Oh, we've given everybody an account. They should like everybody should be using it and doing really great things. And at some point, you guys would need to be able to say, these are the exact things that waste our time. These are the exact things that are just painful. These are the exact things that take up so much time. Write them down and provide those SOPs specifically around the biggest pains in the organization, the things that are going to move the needle the most in the organization. And that is where you guys can get that bigger adoption because if you give somebody something, they're going to get busy. They're not thinking about AI all day. They're not thinking about, oh, this is a better way to leverage my time all the time. Sometimes they're just like, my to-do list is way too long. I just got to start cranking. I need to work late. I need to do this. And they don't have time to do all this experimentation and prompting or deep dives around how to better automate their work. Outline review requirements before external use or project record entry. So this is basically just talking. I just wanted to talk about like what are you guys wanting to review before like the team uses it, right? So if you're building out this SOP for estimating, for example, make sure you get all his documentation, make sure you get all of his examples, make sure you know exactly how he wants to spin these documents out at the end after putting in all the information, and then you can release it to the rest of the team. So A rough percentage of workday can be basically accelerated by AI here, and I think that a lot of people, so we have some more inputs here on the poll as well. So just to recap here, 0 to 10% of AI usage in your day is at 19%. 10 to 30% of AI usage in your day is at 25%. 30 to 60% of AI usage in your day is at 31%, still the biggest cohort. 60 to 80% of AI usage in your workday is at 19%. And then 80 to 100% is only 6% of the audience today. So yeah, it's kind of literally just the perfect mountain. More leaning on the 0% side than anything, but we're right in the middle. So getting back to this, specific workflows currently using AI, use approved versus personal unapproved tools, manual tasks believed capable of AI assistance, what holds back the broader AI adoption? So this is just things to spark conversation. These are talking points. If you guys are going to go have a meeting after this and you're going to talk about things, what is your team's AI usage adoption? What specific workflows are we already using AI in an unstructured way? What are these tools? What are we allowed to connect into our AI knowledge bases and have AI actually operate within versus what do we not want to have it operating in? What are the manual tasks that we have not implemented AI in today that are capable of AI assistance? And then what holds back broader AI adoption in our company? And this is more of a culture thing than anything. Is it trust, access, policy? Is it just nobody else in the office is using it? Is it people are using it and just, being quiet about what they're using it because they're not sure if they should? So these are all five different points to talk about to get broader AI adoption. I recommend that, like, if you guys are really wanting to lean forward into this, bring up these 5 points, talk about them with other people at your organization or in a meeting, and then I think it will just naturally surface how you can better leverage it inside your organization. So basically, AI adoption maturity. What are the steps here? So right now, a lot of companies that I meet with are unmanaged. Employees are experimenting without those standards, without those oversights. Isolated wins exist, but they lack policy, inventory, metrics, or even visibility across the organization, right? So like you have a PM, he's ripping through his to-do list all the time. He's just like superhuman. He's probably having a lot of wins, but he's probably not like just purposefully or structurally sharing that across the organization. You want to have things have control over what your organization is doing. So a lot of this stuff is now being able to be connected into AI, and AI can now actually take control or do actions inside of tools or other software. So approved tools to have control over what people in your organization are connecting it to, and then like that permission gate. Is there a human in the loop on these tools? Is there not? Documented workflows will then evolve once you have your tools kind of dialed in. And then we want to have, trainings, owners, and dashboards kind of be the standard. So you're now building some maybe little dashboards from your AI usage. You now have your database kind of all connected. You have any of your files in here. And then you want to have it fully embedded. And AI is part of your standard operating procedures. So all those standard operating procedures to do all of those different tasks or documents that you guys have documented in your organization, that SOP should actually say, okay, well, now you go to Claude and now you do this, and it will have a memory of all of the previous, RFIs that we've written and like basically a whole workflow associated with a skill to get this done for you. So have it fully embedded in your organization as part of the way that you guys operate, and the way that you guys operate is all documented in SOPs typically. So to roll this out, if I were to come into an organization today and there was nothing, in the first month, I would care about visibility and control. I want some sort of little AI, committee, maybe the people that are kind of forward leaning. I want this to be in a variety of different departments. And we're gonna just basically say, okay, this is one of the problems that we think we're gonna solve. I have those 5 talking points that I put up there. That should surface one of the problems or one of the processes we want to like leverage AI a little bit more in. And we're gonna approve a small tool set. I mean, tool set just means we're gonna have Claude, and Claude's gonna be connected to Procore, and it's also gonna have access to visibility on our meeting recordings, and that's gonna be how we first roll out it and start experimenting. And with the experiments, you can basically pick 2 or 3. I mean, narrow workflows. I don't want you guys to go crazy on the first workflow and have like a 20-step process with all these edge cases. Pick something that feels manageable, that feels black and white, that feels like it's only a few steps. You're going to pick that document, you're going to pick that workflow, and then that's going to be what you kind of double down on and define the metrics in which you will kind of like assess, is this AI really doing it for us or not? Month 2 is standardization. So you're going to train by role, create prompt libraries, review checklists. So this is now saying, okay, we have a couple of pilots. We're going to standardize this. We're going to roll this out to the greater organization. So everybody does this way. We're going to update our SOPs. Our SOPs are going to have prompt examples in there. And then we can go and train other team members outside of this committee. Uh, Data centralization is probably the biggest pain point that I hear over and over and over again. We got 5 different softwares that have 5 different pieces of information, and there's no single place, and our files might not be structured perfectly on our server. So, how do we get all of this data in one place and really start leveraging it? So, begin to centralize those trusted data sources for secure access. You can put them all in your server. If they're in other folders or in other softwares outside of your server, you can grant access via different API methods or MCP methods for the AI to be able to go grab little reports, and it can be in a view only um, uh, option. Uh, Let's see here. So I have a question in the Q&A, so I'll answer that in just a sec. Let me get through this slide here. Then we'll have measured expansion. So scale those pilots, retire the weak ones, formalize and monitor. So formalize ownership over different workflows. Just because AI is doing a workflow does not mean there's nobody that's going to be managing it or watching it anymore. It's still going to be owned by a human. It's still going to be reviewed by a human because if just like if an employee started not showing up for work or an employee started doing a bad job, you're going to want the same type of management over these different AI systems and workflows. Alrighty, so let me get to this question now. Uh, we have, I've sat in on a few of your webinars and I've enjoyed them. Admittedly, it is above my expertise so far. I've only dabbled in the last year with ChatGPT, essentially for research and web searches. I am now getting Claude. But I want a good place to start that makes sense. Do you have beginner recommendations? Asking for a friend. So first off, thanks for the compliment, and thanks for coming to these webinars. So in Claude, there's 3 different levels. The first level is chat, so it's going to feel very similar to ChatGPT. You should download the desktop app for sure. The second level is going to get into that structure of knowledge that I just referenced, and that is going to be Claude Cowork. Claude Cowork is kind of a consumerized, user-friendly version of Claude Code. And both of these tools don't have necessarily the same memory that you might be used to in Claude Chat or in ChatGPT. But what they do is they use what's called Markdown files. Markdown files become its memory. And Markdown files are cool because you can control what's in them. You save them on your own computer or your own server. And that's a lot of what I'm talking about here. That company, that case study that we talked about that reduced the submittal costs around 75%, that built that estimating tool, they're building out markdown files with a lot of this data in there, how they work, what they process. So Claude Cowork is a really great kind of getting your toes in the water version of this bigger expansion of having a foundation of all your documents and MD files and so on. So I would go to YouTube, say like Claude Cowork beginner tutorial. There's a couple of 30-minute videos. They're going to be the first couple of options. That's what I send people. And Claude Cowork will interview you. You can create MD documents about who you are, how you work, what position you operate in, what are you trying to automate. And then you can have it kind of use your computer to automate tasks on schedules. And it's very powerful. It's really a great tool that they built out. And I would say after a few months of using Claude Cowork, you might be wanting to graduate to Claude Code. Claude Code is still, even with all of the updates OpenAI has come out with, Claude Code is still far and above my favorite. So, if there's any other questions, feel free to throw them in there. Hopefully, that helps you with the starting point. I'm gonna blast through these. I got 3 minutes. I got a onboarding meeting with a new client of Contracts Connected, but I wanted to get to these action items today. So basically, send this baseline message. The same poll that I asked you guys today about how much are you guys using AI in your day-to-day workflow. That should be something that you know from your team or your coworkers if you're not leading a team. Identify those three narrow repetitive workflows to pilot. Name it like either a person in your organization that's going to lead this AI innovation or a committee. It's a great first step. And then publish a short acceptable use standard. Here's the things that we don't want you guys doing with AI. Here's the things we do want you guys doing with AI. It's about risk reduction from that standpoint. Train employees by role on AI best practices. So again, I think that this moves the needle most when the controller has very controller specific examples. The project management team has very project management specific examples. I've seen too many things that are too generic that just don't end up moving the needle or get adoption because they're not connecting the dots and how it applies to their day and their workflow. Review the results, iterate after 30 days as always. But we're right up on time here. Thank you guys for listening. This was one of our biggest attended webinars, like 270 registrations. So I'm really excited to see so many people here and so many repeated faces. Hopefully that answer to your question helped. We're still sitting at those same numbers with most people being 30 to 60% of their day with help from AI, which is cool. I think I'm going to do a LinkedIn post about the stats here. But yeah, no problem. Happy to help. Thanks for always attending and thanks for asking questions. So that is today. I have a good one prepared for next week. If you guys have any ideas on these webinars, feel free to ask them. Thanks, Manny. Thanks for always coming. And thanks for always being a good participant here. We have some really exciting things coming down the pipeline. Contracts Connected. We have a lot of AI different analysis tools operating in the background for all of this compliance and contract paperwork. So if you guys are interested in knowing what I do for my full-time job, because I do this for free and I do this for funsies, you guys can check us out here at contractsconnected.com. We're basically automating the entire back office for the prime contractor community. Soon to roll out different plans for the vendor community and the subcontracting community as well. So we just released Redlines. I just actually today, if you guys haven't checked it out, we are the industry first redlining solution for contracts. So all of the negotiations, front to back, generating the contract, the e-signature, the approvals, the rejections, the revisions, all happening within an enclosed workflow. There's no more downloading. There's no more negotiating red lines over email threads. It's all in one enclosed system. So I have a short video here that you guys can watch, but it's pretty cool. We've been getting quite a lot of a response from this feature release. It's something we worked on for like 8 months to be the first red line specifically built for construction and contract negotiations. So check that out. You can find it up at product and then go to Redlines. But I am late to go onboard a new GC into Contracts Connected. So I will see you guys next week. Thanks for coming.